Hi everyone, it's Juan here, and today we're going to be talking about the federal excise tax and how many Chinese trading firms are using it to scam everybody. So if in the truck tire industry, you want to sit down and watch this whole video because this new ruling from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals is going to affect you.
Excuse me, somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
So what is the excise tax? And why do we have it, and why is it important? It all started back 100 years ago in the Revenue Act of 1918. The country was going through World War I and we needed to fund our nation's highways. And Congress thought we're gonna fund it with the people who use it the most. Commercial truck tires. The idea was simple: tax heavy-duty trucks to fund our nation's highways. Today, the tax is collected on the load capacity of the tire. So if you have a 295, 75 or 22.5 14 ply, the tax is $25. And if it's higher loading capacity, which holds heavier weight, which obviously impacts more the roads because more weight is impacting the roads, is $29.43. Based on I.R.S. code 4071, the manufacturer or the importer is the one who is liable for the excise tax. According to this law, if you're the importer and you're selling them into the United States, you're the one who's supposed to be paying this tax. So what if you receive the tires from an importer who invoices you tires, FET, you remit the payment to them in the United States and they don't pay it? What happens then? We're going to look at every single court case problem that these tires have caused in the last decade. It's a lot of problems. Let's go back a decade in the tire industry and look up all the legal problems tires have caused. Tire distributor faces federal fraud suits and penalties. March 11, 2015, Long Beach, California. Michelin accuses Sudus Tire of Long Beach of $3.2 million in fraud. South Florida retailer sentenced to prison for excise tax conspiracy 2018. Miami tire importer indicted for excise tax conspiracy and tax evasion 2020. 15 named in $26 million international trade fraud scheme. New Jersey man sentenced to prison as part of a $50 million Ponzi scheme involving off-the-road tires. That Ponzi scheme had nothing to do with commercial tires, but I just threw it in there because it's fresh 2025. How do you do a Ponzi scheme with tires? I really do not know, but they're doing it. Miami importer pleads guilty to scheme to evade US tariffs on Chinese-made truck tires. This person specifically was actually changing the DOT and the manufacturing code made in China to made in Malaysia. I was actually visiting a customer down in Miami where I saw great weight tires. They're built in Ningxia factory. I've been to the factory and they're made in China, and they're actually buffing out the made in China and made in Malaysia. Just look at the pictures. It's really ridiculous. And then we have this guy in YouTube who lost $15,000 in a container scam because somebody told them that they had a friends in CBP that could help them lower the tariffs and get containers at a ridiculously low price. No wonder he got scammed. So what is the loophole? The problem here is that the federal excise tax is not actually paid at the port. People can take their time to pay the federal excise tax on a form called the 720, which I have right here. And the form 720 means when the Revenue Act was being created, that government wanted to help small businesses thrive. They wanted them to not pay taxes up front. They wanted to help them generate cash flow so people can import the tires, sell them, and then pay Uncle Sam. And that's a loophole. How are these Chinese trading companies abusing the system? And it's simple. So they're creating shell accounts and they're bringing hundreds of containers all over the United States at prices that just do not make sense. So where does that leave us today? Is the $1.9 million verdict from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which changes who is liable for the federal excise tax. And according to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, in my opinion, the beneficiary is the one who is responsible. So if you get a container, a 40-foot container, you order it, you induce the sale of the container from Vietnam, from China, from Thailand, from Serbia, from whatever, from Cambodia, and you pay the import record an invoice with FET, and the import record does not remit the payment correctly, you're on the hook. According to the court document, when a party orders taxable articles to be shipped to the United States for resale and is otherwise uninvolved in the importation process, is that party the importer? We hold that they are when they derive almost all the benefits of the importation. While we agree the district court that Texas truck did not bring the tires to the United States as term used in the applicable Treasury regulation, we find it erred by failing to consider whether Texas truck was the beneficial owner under the regulation. We further hold that Texas truck was in fact the beneficial owner and therefore liable for the excise tax. Accordingly, we reverse. Dana M. Douglas, Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals judge that was appointed by Joseph R. Biden. You see, the problem was that Texas truck was buying tires from Omni United Pte, Shandong Home Run Tires Co. Ltd, Maxim International Co. Ltd, Weifang Haichuan Importers, Qingdao Lai Ji Rubber Trade. Man, that's a mouthful. So Texas truck bought the tires. They filed the form 7501, which I have a copy right here. And as you can see in the form, in line 26, it will say the import record. And this is where the sponsor of the video comes in. Hanksugi Tire USA is a premium TBR tire manufactured in Cambodia and the first company and only that I'm aware of that's actually providing FET payments to you, the consumer. If you buy a 40-foot container from Hanksugi Tire USA, every quarter you're gonna be getting your EFTPS confirmation that the FET is being paid, and you can sleep well at night knowing that Uncle Sam is not gonna be knocking in your door asking for taxes that you thought you already paid. They do DDP services in all over the United States, so if you're looking to buy a container of Hanksugi tires, feel free to contact the email, the phone number above. I happen to be the sales director. I would love to help you out and make sure that you're buying tires at the right price, obviously with FET included. So on line 26, we can see the import record name is Hanksugi Tire USA. We can see the ultimate consignee, and this is the paperwork that Texas Truck Parts had when they were buying tires from the Chinese manufacturers. They were also getting invoices. Here's a copy of Hanksugi Tire USA, just like this one, that it would say the price of the tire, the FET on that tire. So they had pretty, in my opinion, pretty clean paperwork. The problem here is that the FET was never paid. So when the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals looked at this, it's $1.9 million. It's a lot of money. And you know, when I.R.S. wants their money, they want their money. They're not playing around. Long story short, according to Dana M. Douglas, the way she came out to this reasoning is that the beneficial owner is who derives the most benefit. So if you're an importer or a tire buyer of 40-foot containers, if you induced the sale of a container and it arrives to your warehouse, even if you had nothing to do with the importation process, with the freight forwarding, with the customs clearance, you're not in the customs paperwork. Even if you have nothing to do with it, all you got is a 40-foot container at your door and you have invoices that say that you're paying the FET to the importer and they're not paying it, according to this court ruling, now you're liable because you're the person who induced the sale. You're the one getting the most benefit of this container purchase and you're the first point of resale in the United States. It's not the import record, it's you, the buyer of the 40-foot container. Beneficial, Black's Law Dictionary, and beneficial interest meant profit, benefit, or advantage resulting from a contract or ownership of an estate as a distinct from legal ownership or control. Beneficial interest, Black's Law Dictionary, an equitable owner was defined as one who's recognized in equity as the owner of property because the real and beneficial use and title belonging to him, although barely legal title is vested on another. Under this definition, there may therefore be two owners in respect of the same property, one the nominal or the legal owner, the other the beneficial or equitable owner. There is no doubt that in instance the Chinese manufacturers did not act any more than nominal importers. They did not ship the tires to sell them or initiate new sales to purchasers in the United States. They shipped them to an American entity which then sold the tires. The Chinese manufacturers were the importers in name only. And it goes on to say, where possible, we should interpret regulation language plainly. However, we must consider the regulation in its entirety. The district court failure to analyze the entire definition therefore was in error. under the regulations terms, we conclude that Chinese manufacturers were the nominal importers and Texas Truck was the beneficial owner of the tires, and thus the importer for excise tax purposes. Accordingly, we reverse the district court order granting summary judgment to Texas Truck and render the judgment for the government and remand the matter to the district court to determine the damages in accordance with this opinion. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. You're buying 40-foot containers from all these Chinese trading firms doing this type of scam. They're gonna be hurting a lot of small businesses out there. The law Congress made to help small businesses has been weaponized. There's no other way to say it. It has been completely weaponized. These Chinese trading firms are just creating shell companies, invoicing people with FET. They're gonna create havoc. I was just in the Mid-America Trucking Show, and it breaks my heart to see good small businesses walking around and falling trapped to this problem. So the million-dollar question now is, who is creating this problem? So who are these trading Chinese firms that are doing this problem now? Well, let's look at a couple text messages I got in WhatsApp. I still don't know how to get my phone number. It's like those phone number scams, but in WhatsApp and with legal consequences. So we have this person who I tell her, please give me your FOB price for this tire. And she sends me the FOB price. Let's look at just one size and run the numbers, see if they make sense. 295/75 R22.5 KD2. It's a nice looking tire. Let's look at the pictures. $146.73. That's a good FOB price. That makes sense. But then she goes on and tells me it's $173 the drive. And I ask her, is that DDP with FET? She says, yes, it's DDP with FET. Now that's a deal.
I'll make that deal. How about you bitch? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
But let's look more closely. So it's $146. The ocean freight right now is around $3,600. At the time she quoted me, it was $4,100. So that would be around $15, $14 for ocean freight. We look at the DOT customs entry fee, another $2.67, 4.5% for import duties, the domestic transfer. That means that tire landed is gonna be around $202 with FET, and she's at $173. What a magician! Oh man, this is crazy. Now let's look at another person who happened to quote me today, and I'm like, well, they fell trap of my YouTube video. So now let's look at Megalodon. This is a tire manufactured in General Rubber in Cambodia. If we look at the price list in 295/75 R22.5, their drive tire is $182.74 for the 14 ply, and their 16 ply is $186 landed in Miami. But when we look at their FOB price on that same tire is $142.03. According to the chats, I asked them, what is the freight that you're using to calculate this importation? He tells me it's $3,600 for the freight. So when we add $3,600 and divide it, it's approximately $12 a tire. And then we add all the customs entry fees, the duties, the domestic transfer, the FET. The landed price on that tire is $197.56. But he is quoting me $182. A $15 difference, or $186 for the 16 ply. When we divide $3,600 in 280 tires, it's around $12 and change. And then we start adding the DOT, the entry fees, the duties, the domestic transfer, the FET. It all comes out to $197 landed in Miami. But this person is quoting $186.88. But there's no way to lower the duties. There's no way to lower the entry fee. The domestic transfer, sure, you could take $1 off, but it still doesn't get you a $10 spread. And the FET, well, you make your own decision, your own conclusion. And in my opinion, these are the trading firms, which is two that I'm gonna expose here. But the problem is there's more that I know of, and everybody here has to watch out. You really have to be careful who you're purchasing 40-foot containers from now on, because the last thing you want it to happen is getting audited Imagine you calling those Chinese numbers. You think they're gonna come back and save you and give you the payment for the FET? Not really. They're not gonna do that. They're just gonna probably change the phone numbers, change the import records, and start all over again. Talking about import records, let's look at the import records that have not made sense to me. And we're gonna see how legal people do it and how unlegal people do it. One import record that blew my mind, the name was L Sprinkling Inc. They're based out of Denver, Colorado. Another one is Xian Long Trading Inc., also out of Boulder, Colorado. Attentively Trading Inc., Boulder, Colorado. So they're using different names of importations completely. All of them are brand new in the last year. They close them, they start all over again, and they're just dumping the FET liability to American tire companies, believing that they have an invoice, they're paying the FET, and they're doing things the right way. And that is sad. That is very sad, because this is gonna hurt a lot of people who are getting all these containers like Texas Truck did, and then a couple years down the road, you sold tires for 5 years. Imagine 1-2 containers, you add up, it's $16,000 a month. You do that for 5 years. How much of that is liability? And now there's a court opinion that says you're liable. This is gonna put people out of business. This is very sad, and this has to go out all over the United States. I've been selling tires here for a very long time, and this is the worst I've seen. I've seen all types of scams, but this one is the worst. Another import record, and this one sincerely pissed me off, is Viet Thai Tire LLC. They're bringing tires far below cost, and it's very sad because there's a lot of my customers that have fallen in this trap of buying containers from these people that are not really paying the FET. I hope this video was a learning experience. I'm not here to scare anybody. I'm here to inform the tire industry as a whole, and I wish nothing but the best for everybody. But when there's your competition getting the tires $30 below everybody's cost, we have a problem. And this problem is the worst in Miami, Chicago, LA, Houston, New York, New Jersey. It's everywhere at this point. And it's all these Chinese trading companies who have no respect for the United States, no respect for our laws, no respect for the taxes that needs to be paid. And this is hurting not just the trading companies that are doing it, because this is criminal, but it's hurting the small businesses that are buying these containers. And again, it's hurting the United States government, because now there's less money to fund our nation's roads. If you're interested in us getting a lawyer's opinion, please let me know down in the comments. In the next video, I could get a lawyer to go over this Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals and his opinion about what it means. Until then, I'll see you later in another video. Take care, watch out, report the scams, and take care everybody. Have a great day.